Recently, I've been watching the Austin Major, and there is one takeaway from when I was watching NRG that I wanted to share with you. It may be something that a lot of you have never understood or even thought about when it comes to this game. This is going to be a little bit more of an advanced level video. I encourage you, if you're a beginner though, to take as much as you can from this. Lots of good takeaways regardless, and that is going to be how CT sided teams in Anubis, but also every map in the game, they are constantly changing their setup and shifting depending on what they think is going to happen in the round. Now, you guys know from pugging, from playing Premier, that generally we are going to have our positions. We're going to have an A player, maybe two mid players, and then two B players. Obviously, there can be some freedom to move around in there, but generally that's what it's going to look like. Now, I was watching NRG, and something I already knew that they do, but it just worked out so brilliantly, is they were constantly changing the starting numbers. Maybe some rounds they had 3B because they wanted to do something aggressive in B. They needed more firepower. And then they had one mid and one A. That's not rocket science, but what I saw was such great attention to detail. Now, when they had a 3B start, the mid player was playing very passively. He might smoke mid, but then honestly, he was consolidating here towards the A bomb site. Why is that genius? Because why would he take a 1vx fight in middle when he can play with his teammate on A? So, you know, maybe one of the players had an up here, posted on A main, or vice versa. You could switch these around. And then the rifler was sitting here jiggling for camera. There's another round too, where they started 3B, but then once they got their B control, they flashed out here. They got a player into B main like this, into a really aggressive position. Well, cool. Now we probably know it's not going to be B. They shifted into a 3A setup then, and it worked out brilliantly. The, you know, T side, they were playing Tai Lu. They tried to do a camera and A split. Their A main player picked up this kill. Awesome, huge frag. And then they had two guys already sitting here. The first guy mollied camera once he took contact. Well, there was 3 or 4 Tai Lu guys here trying to get through. They're like, oh shoot, bro, they mollied us. They smoke it, try to run through and get absolutely grinded down. This wouldn't have been possible if they were just doing a standard setup. So when you guys are queuing with teammates, doing this type of stuff, you need to implement this active gameplay, this active style, and you need to visualize what your opponents are doing. I'm going to get into depth with this, but first I have to give you a message about how to get the juiciest looking CS2 skins in the game.
Thank you to the sponsor of today's video, Skins Monkey. They are one of the greatest and easiest to use CS2 trading sites out there. You can swap out the skins you do not like for brand new ones that are so much more fresh. Even skins that are trade locked can be secured by adding them to your backpack. The greatest thing about the site is that you can buy skins for so much cheaper with a 35% deposit bonus when you use my code, CoJo. Make sure to check out the freebie section where you can get a free skin just by completing tasks. On top of the bonuses, you also get a $5 bonus when clicking the link in the description.
All right, guys, so that was just one example of how they dominated with this. Let's go ahead and flip things on its head. And again, I'll show you the genius of this. Early round, they started 2B. They didn't do very much special. They just had their E-Box player sitting here, recycling a smoke, doing this, blah, blah, whatever. Eventually, one of their players died, and they decided, hey, like, we're not going to win this round if we have 2 players on B and then 2 players towards the A side of the map. We need to stack something. Because if the T's just play properly, they are just going to 5-man or 4-man hit the A site or B site and just have a huge advantage. So what do pros teams do? They say, look, okay, we need to do something active. They tell their B player, bro, you got to play passive. And their B player, which was Nitro, I believe, was literally just sitting back here, holding like an angle like this, very, very passively, right? And what did the 3 CTs do? They came over here to stack towards A and started eventually getting their op to peek out here. Boom, we're getting info. The opper's walking out here with a rifler on this wall, getting ready to trade off of him. Well, they get this info with 3A. They're about to walk through, and then the T side hits B. Well, no big deal because the B player is intelligent enough to know what to do. This could be you guys. Maybe you're in a pug, and 3 of your homies are on A because you're trying to play smart. You're trying to stack a bomb site. Inferno's a great example of this too. Sometimes we have to leave one player on B. Well, don't play on site. If the CT would have been sitting here, dude, he's facing off against 5 T's running at him, and he's back on site. I see so many players when I queue with them in my Faceit club. I queue with everybody out there, so join my Faceit club if you want to play with me, or just, you know, in general, plugging when I coach players. It's so bad because I'm like, dude, you're the only guy here. I understand you want kills. I understand you want to do this, but you have to be able to give B site. So what ended up happening, they throw their exec, they smoke here, they molly, blah, 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 use all that util. Nitro just sits here, and all he does, just throws in some spams because they have 3 CTs now coming through canals. And then, you know, the first guy comes in here, he dies, but then the next guy's in here already. They don't expect him here, and he goes absolutely nuclear because they shifted to A. They got this early info. Their B player was intelligent enough to not give his life up, and now they have a pronged attack. They have one guy here just containing. The T's can't take this space now, or he's just going to keep falling back. Boom, fall back, fall back. And then the CTs are grouping up and splitting the site on a retake together. Think about how many times in pugs, you know, maybe your teammates have done this, or if we're being honest, we have done this as well, where we're this B player and we just are like, no, I want to fight. And we get up here in the smoke and we're trying to fight site and do all this stuff. It's not glamorous CS to sit back here and play like this, but genuinely, guys, this is the smart CS. You know, if he's just on site and he dies and now it's a 5v3, these guys are probably just sitting here going, dude, it's a 3v5 and they have sight. Let's just save, boys. Let's just save. It's not glamorous at all. It doesn't get enough attention, but genuinely, this is why you are stuck at 2,500 elo or 2,300 elo, is because when you're in pugs, you're not trying to direct people. You're not trying to direct your friends you're queued with. You're not even thinking about the CS. You're just thinking, I need to get mine. I need to do what's best for me right now. And we're not shifting around enough. You know, on Anubis, let's just flip it to T side real quick, because this can be a good T side concept as well. Maybe we go into the plan where we're going to hit B. Well, you know, maybe you're facing off against noobs, because I see this even in 2,000 plus elo. It's insane, where they're just smoking beaming off the rip. And then again, they're just dropping another smoke and another smoke. Say we get unlucky, they push somewhere, and now it's a 4v5. We're down a man. Well, you know, if you think that the team is stacking 3B in these rounds, one cheat code on Anubis is to say, okay, screw the plan. Whatever the plan was, screw it. Let's regroup and come through middle here, because we have numbers. We can split the map in half and we can roll as like a meatball. We can meatball through mid and then see what kills we get and make our decision off there. Maybe the mid player is playing a camera. Boom, we get that kill. Well, cool. Let's smoke off temple and now split towards A. And don't throw that smoke. Holy cow. Guys, do not throw that smoke. Throw this one. Boom, there we go. Okay, that was even so bad, but it works. Now we split towards camera and we make this happen. You constantly have to adapt. You can't be static. You can't sit there and just be kind of like, I want to say a bad word, but you know, just be way too standard. You can't be static. It's really bad. For Anubis, let me talk to you as mid players as well. I see this way too much. It pains me, man, to see this. It's okay to give middle. I get so sick of seeing in the mid round, the mid player just decide to put himself right here. Good, you're trying to get yours. You're trying to get one kill. But why on earth in the middle of the round, when we have a 5v4 an advantage, are you sitting here by yourself when you have teammates on A and B? Dude, if you're by yourself in this situation, either call a teammate mid to come help you, or just fall back to camera and sit here and jiggle with a molly. When they take contact, boom, you throw that molly down and then you dip, because you just won the round for your team. Time is bleeding off the clock. You finally take contact on them and you're like, hey guys, they're out mid, they're trying to split. Or, you know, you could do the same thing with a smoke or with your gun out, I guess, because a lot of you just want to play to shoot. I understand. It's how we have to look at it. Middle on every single map is definitely necessary, but in the mid round, like, it's not needed. They have to hit a bomb site, and I'm not telling you to give it up for free, but like, make them work for everything. Don't give them free kills. It's so detrimental. If you guys didn't notice, I'm sick, so I'm going to end this video right here. I'm going to try to do my best to recover, rest up. So I wanted to make some good content for you though, so hit that subscribe button, join my Facebook club, check out my shorts, check out my other socials. We're posting great stuff over there. So I'll catch you guys all later. Peace out.